As the 1900s began, reformers wanted to bring about important changes in society. Combined, their efforts gave birth to the progressive movement. Four key objectives defined the progressive movement. First, the reformers wanted to protect social safety by dealing with the problems that people in cities faced. They helped with projects like the YMCA building libraries and exercise rooms, the Salvation Army feeding the poor and taking care of children in childcare, and settlement houses helping poor families. In 1893, the Illinois Factory Act was passed with the help of a well-known reformer named Florence Kelley. This law, which served as a precedent for other states, outlawed child labor and placed restrictions on how many hours women could put in. The second goal of the progressive movement was to encourage people to be better people. One part of this was the push for prohibition, which wanted to make it illegal to drink alcohol. A group called the Women's Christian Temperance Union, which was led by Frances Willard, was made up of many liberals who supported prohibition. The Women's Christian Temperance Union grew to be the most important group for women in the country. But some temperance groups, like the Anti-Saloon League, had problems with immigrant neighborhoods because alcohol was often a part of their traditions. Still, the Anti-Saloon League had a lot of power in politics, which is why alcohol was banned in many states and local areas. Reformers also wanted to change the economy by doing something about the huge gap between the rich and the poor. They wanted workers to be treated better, and some of them even backed socialism as an alternative to capitalism. Eugene V. A. Debs was a leader in the labor movement. He helped start the American Socialist Party and spoke out against the power of big businesses. Journalists, who were known as muckrakers, uncovered wrongdoing and unfair business practices. People like Ida Tarbell brought up issues like unsafe working conditions and child labor. Some activists supported scientific management as a way to help businesses be more productive and make more money. Frederick Winslow Taylor came up with this idea by using scientific ideas to make jobs easier. This idea led to the assembly line, and when Henry Ford used it to make the Ford Model T car, he changed the way things were made in America. The production line made the process of making cars faster and cheaper, so people could buy them for less money. Even though the assembly line had some good points, it also had some bad ones. Workers were expected to work quickly, which could make them tired and cause them to get hurt. But Henry Ford did things to make sure his workers were happy, like shortening the workday and giving them $5 a day more. Even though working on an assembly line was hard, the good pay made people willing to deal with the problems. Progressives didn't just try to change how society and the economy worked, they also tried to make politics better. In many cities, it was normal for party bosses to give jobs to their friends and pay people to vote for their party. A new method called the commission system was created to deal with this problem. In this setup, a group of experts oversaw the different departments of the city. By 1917, this type of government was used in about 500 towns. The council-manager style of government was another idea for how to change things. By 1925, nearly 250 cities had councils chosen by the people who chose the city manager. These managers helped the city run more efficiently and with more skill. Some towns also had progressive mayors who made big changes without changing how the city was run. Hazen Pingree was the progressive mayor of Detroit, and Tom Johnson was in charge of Cleveland. They made changes like fairer tax systems and lower prices for public transportation to help the towns and the people who live there. Reformers didn't just work on problems at the national level, they also made a lot of progress in the states. Many states had progressive governors who made rules to control big businesses like railroads, mines, and phone companies. One famous governor, Robert La Follette of Wisconsin, pushed for the people, not business leaders, to run the government. He changed the way the railroad business worked by making sure taxes were fair and making a commission to set rates. Governors like North Carolina's Charles B. Aycock and Texas's James S. Hogg also tried to limit the power of big businesses. Progressives also pushed for better working conditions and against child labor. The National Child Labor Committee looked into how hard it was for children to work, which led to the Keating-Owen Act, which made it illegal to ship things made by children across state lines. Even though there were no federal rules against child labor, progressives were able to get state legislatures to pass their own bans and set maximum hours for all workers. The Supreme Court also helped bring about change. Thanks to lawyer Louis D. Brandeis, the Supreme Court decided in the case of Muller v. Oregon that states could legally limit the number of hours women could work. In the case of Bunting v. Oregon, the 10-hour workday for men was confirmed. State-level changes to the voting process also gave voters more power. Initiatives let voters suggest their own laws. Referendums let people vote directly on initiatives. And the right to recall meant that officials could be made to run for office again. Oregon was the first state to use a secret ballot, and Minnesota was the first to have a required statewide direct primary system. This led to the 17th Amendment, which made it possible for people to vote directly for senators. Overall, state-level reformers made a lot of progress in regulating businesses, making working conditions better, and giving voters more power through election reforms.